Hey everybody, welcome back or welcome to Shoenn with me, Jude Florio. Nice to see you. If this is your first time, check out our other videos. If you're a repeat customer, thanks for coming back. What do we have in store for you today? Well, interestingly enough, I over the years had the great opportunity to meet and work with a number of different farriers, have some overlap. A number of years ago, I was enlisted by great account out on Eastern Long Island, and I happened to meet a really good guy, Joe Calora. I had heard about Joe over time. I had some overlap. A good friend of mine, Marty Barbera, who's since passed, would talk about Joe, but I never got to meet him until I headed out east, and we had some overlap with an account. Today's video, today's episode, so to speak, on Shoenn with Jude is really an awesome sort of discussion with three top farriers out on Eastern Long Island. So Joe Calora has been in the business for 70 years. Rich Klauber, another gentleman that I met through Joe, has been in the business, I think, 40 plus years. And Dean Fritzker, who's out east, another top farrier. And what we basically did is we had a really great sit down where I asked them a number of questions about the industry, their experiences, some of the problems that they've encountered over time, some of the recommendations that they have. So this video is about, I don't know, 25, 30 minutes, depending upon how we edit it down, of Joe, Rich, and Dean sort of discussing some of the problems that they've experienced over their life as farriers, some of the issues with horses, etc. So I think it's a super video. I hope you check it out. I hope you stay tuned. And thanks for Shoenn coming along, Shoenn with Jude. Welcome to Caloraville, out in Suffolk County, Long Island, out east. It's not a town you'll see on the map, but it's a town in the heart of its owner. It's a town of one, the mayor, chief of police, and short order cook. I'm here on a Sunday at the home of the legendary farrier, Joe Calora. Really a wonderful guy. 83 years strong. He's still going, doing this work every day. He's out there shoeing horses, and he's just an amazing character where I just admire people like him. They're still at work. They still love what they do. And I have the good fortune today to be with him and a number of other farriers that come on a Sunday and spend time with them. So this is going to be a great trip. Caloraville, USA. It should be on a map. It's not on a map. And I hope you enjoy what he has to say.
Hello, I'm Rich Klauber. Been shoeing since '81, 44 years. Certified farrier with the AFA.
I'm Dean Fritcher. I've been shoeing about almost 35 years in the Hampton, Long Island, Wellington.
And I was interested in becoming a veterinarian. And the veterinarian that I worked for, Dr. Andresen, he suggested that I go to horseshoeing school because most problems as a horse vet are with the shoeing or the hoof of a horse. But I liked it so much that I stuck with it instead of going on to veterinary school. And sometimes I feel like I'm not a veterinarian, but in some ways I am a foot doctor.
I grew up riding, from probably 5 years old, and got away from it for a while. But then I actually met my wife, who was my girlfriend at the time, and she had horses. So I got back into the love, which actually never went away. Always loved horses. But I went to school for engineering. I was a draftsman for a while, and I was so bored sitting at the desk. Just I needed to get out, and so I would actually sneak off at work at lunchtime, and I would go to a stable and hang out. And there was a farrier there working one day. It was Frank DeMarco, and I started just questioning him, and he actually let me tag along with him for a while, and yeah, so then that was it. I got the bug and went to school. Yeah.
And you also saw me give a
Oh,
talk.
that's right. Well, he was one of the few. It was funny because when I called a bunch of guys looking to maybe apprentice, a lot of them tried to talk me out of it. Rich was great. He very informative and invited me to go see a talk, and yeah. Dave Birdsall also, who I actually worked for 7 years, was great. You know, a lot of them were very helpful and all, but there was some negativity as well. Now I see that as I've been in it for 30 some odd years. No, I love it.
Well, there have been many changes. For one reason is geographics. I started my career in California. I was there for 10 years, went to Shoenn school, pre-veterinary program there. And then I moved back to where I grew up on the East Coast. So there's some geological differences there. California is very dry. New York, the Northeast, is very wet. So the conditions of the hoof are different. Other differences, you know, it seems like there's a lot more money chasing in the industry. And how that affects, affects things.
Yeah, we were talking about how the management has changed.
Yeah.
It's like he said, it's about money,
Yeah.
and it really industry seems to be just so focused on making the money. The management, I hope I don't become controversial here, but the care is a little different.
Yeah.
We were talking earlier off camera about the hose, replace the brush, and that affects our feet.
With a sponge, yeah.
The water.
Years ago, if you wanted to learn about horses, you worked at a barn, you worked for free, and you got lucky if you got a riding lesson on the weekend. Now you got the money, you go out, you buy a horse, you're an instant horseman.
But also, I think we're hyper people now. Like, we want everything now. We don't want to go through the whole process of 4-H or pony camp. We want to, tomorrow, we want to be a trainer or whatever. Yeah. And maybe that's just society has taught us to just have instant gratification now.
Like everything else, or all aspects of our industry, is to educate the best you can. You can educate some people, and other people you can't. But all you do is you got to just keep trying to educate people.
And again, it's back to money. Like, a horse has to get groomed quickly, because they got to process a bunch of lessons or whatever. So, like that one example, the hose is just easy to throw them in a wash stall and clean them up and get them out. But,
Years ago, the way we bathed the horse was with a bucket of water and a big sponge. And you sponge them down fairly quick. And you usually towel dried their legs afterwards. But with the hose, if they had a little bit of dirt on their leg, grooms would sit there with the hose.
But they'll have it on the foot. I watch them with
over and over again.
Like, just.
How is that impacting?
Well, it's. I don't know the science, but it's swelling the foot with excessive moisture, and then you throw them in a dry shaving stall.
Inconsistency of moisture content.
I think it's that back and forth of wet, dry, wet, dry. Not just wet, but because I found like horses will stand in a wet paddock and they don't fall apart as much because it's constantly wet. I mean, you may have other issues,
Yeah, you want consistency
bacteria,
in the moisture content.
Yeah.
Also, a foot has an arch, a support arch. And the wetter the foot is, that arch kind of collapses. And we have rubber mats in our stalls. We didn't have that 25, 30 years ago. And they use less shavings. So the urines pool on the rubber mats and their feet can stay wetter and nothing is supporting their sole. So with the moisture, that arch support collapses. That's my take on it anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, look at negative palmar angle now. It's like, that's the big word.
From a side look at the foot, the coffin bone has a certain angle. And it's supposed to be above 0 degrees. Negative, obviously, is below 0 degrees. And that means the bone is not in the best position for it to work. It's closer to the ground, more likely to get sore and experience trauma.
And a lot of times too, I'll notice with that is the digital cushion is almost non-existent. Without that, I mean, where the heck is the support? You know?
You think that's a genetic thing?
That's a good question. That's a good question.
I'm not at the breeding farms, so I don't see what they started out with and where they end up. I'd like to go to Spain. I do a lot of Andalusians and Spanish horses. I'd like to go to the breeding farms and see, how were they bred? What were they looked at as a yearling, as a 2-year-old, before I get to see him as a 4 or 5-year-old.
Well, like you said, you've been in drier climates where you worked, and they have there's no problem with heel.
Yeah, California. I was in India, Turkey, all dry, and when you have a dry environment, you're going to get a lot more heel. In a wet environment, you're going to have a lot less heel. The heel is a moving part of the foot,
and it's not necessarily less heel. It's just they've migrated up the bulbs,
or they collapse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think a communication. Joe, we're in the middle of something here.
Now he's got to edit this out.
That's okay.
No, we want that candid stuff, And here's Cody. Cody, what do you think? What would you change? No, but I think I don't think people realize what we do. I mean, really fundamentally what's put in front of us every day. And when other farriers said we walk a razor edge between too much foot and too little, we got to walk that razor edge. And I don't think trainers, owners, whatever, vets understand. And I'm not saying, we shouldn't learn that razor edge because that's what we're after. But, we're humans, and, it's all judgment. Yeah. But I mean, I guess my thing is to the answer to that question is maybe, just people to have a better understanding of what we're doing.
My name is Joe Calora. I've been shoeing horses for 70 years on Long Island. Time off for the service, but 70 years. Since I was 13 years old, and I'm 83 years old.
What got you into the business? How did you get started in the business? What was the attraction?
Well, the attraction was that I was poor. We had no real schooling, and I liked horses, liked being around horses, and it was a way of making money. Without going to college or anything like that. And I was my own boss. I really love horses. I love what I'm doing. I think I'm the luckiest guy in the world. I'm doing what I like. I make some great stuff.
We're here on a Sunday. You invited me out a few years back. It never worked out. I'm able to come today, so I appreciate it. You have basically an open house. You have Rich and Dean, some other farriers stop in from time to time, people from the community. What was sort of the catalyst? Tell me the story of the diner here.
Well, it didn't start out as a diner. I had a piece of property that I bought back in 1970, and it turned out I never walked the property, and it turned out the property was mostly swamp. And I bought it not knowing that it was swamp. As time went on, I always wanted to. I bought 5 acres next to me, so I ended up with 9 acres, mostly land that was not usable. And through my business, I met guys that had dirt that I could get at a reasonable price. I always wanted to build a road so I could drive around my property. And that's how it started, building the road little by little on weekends, and And then the cabin was going to be destroyed, and I got the cabin for nothing. One of my clients moved houses, he moved it to me, and we bartered it out. I started for it. They moved the cabin here, and ponds and everything was here. And me and my wife used to come back here on Sundays, and some of the immediate family, and then it's awesome. I'm inviting people over, customers, acquaintances, and that's how it's basically we got going. People come, they bring steak, they bring corn, and all that kind of stuff. And basically that's it. But this was a living house. And you probably live in it again if you had to. Yeah. Him and I are. Positives is the horses that we used to work on Long Island were mostly horses that came from horse auctions and wasn't, maybe some of them wasn't even handled a lot. The Western horses, I believe the horses today, for the most part, are better behaved, they're more handled. You know, I mean, you had horses coming in from the West, you know, the cowboy rode them, turned them out, never picked his feet, none. Today, the horses, for the most part, are handled more, and they're better to work on. The business has changed. Years ago, all you had to do was do a good basic job. The horse didn't come up lame, the shoes stayed on, and you charged a fair price, and you were good to go. Today, you got to satisfy the horse owner, you got to satisfy the vet, you got to satisfy the trainer. Now, if the trainer sells a horse to a client and the horse is men's or men's or comes up sore right away, you're the one that they're going to look at. Because the trainer didn't sell him a bad horse, the blacksmith has to be the fault. And the business has changed that most of the high-end clients now go to Florida for 6 months out of the year. So you're losing half your business unless you go to Florida. If you don't go to Florida, come winter time, you have a skeleton, you know, backyarders and stuff like that. But most of the high-end people go to Florida. Am I right? And if you're not willing to go, you're going to lose half your route. Because sooner or later, they're going to get the guy that does them in Florida to come, well, he knows the horse, and if I don't use him up here, he won't do them in Florida, blah, 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 blah. Then you get some vets going to come in and say, that foot looks different than that foot. They don't know what you started with. I got a guy that can fix it, so you end up losing clients. Basically, that's what it is. Years ago, unless you crippled somebody's horse or beat him, you most of kept your clients. Today, not that way. I think everything has got more competitive. The footing. Now, I got clients won't go to a show because the footing's not correct in their mind. Years ago, the horse went on dirt, you know, and I think people are looking to create the best they can with all the modern shoes today. They got aluminum, titaniums, and all kinds of shoes. The industry's, I think, gotten better.
That's not necessarily negative. I mean, isn't every sport
inclined? Yeah,
every generation improves it.
I think the horses today more. You probably have better athletes today, more as far as horses compared to years ago.
We can't get, you know, we have all that technology, but we can't also get rid of that intuition too. You know, that you develop over time. I think doctors are getting to that point now where they lost that doctor that came to the house and had that gut. Not that that was always good, but you know, you develop this intuition.
Don't you think on overall the horses today are better kept, better shape, better athletes than they were 30, 40 years ago?
Well, what does better mean? Just because it's in the stall doesn't mean it's better for the horse.
Well, I mean, they're fed better. They got scientific diets that they're feeding, vitamins. Years ago, they could tell you what to feed a chicken to make a better chicken. There was no research and no money spent on horses. Horses, the industry was dead. There was no money in the horse business. So they didn't have fly spray when I started. They didn't have fly spray. You know, a horse, he got colic, he died. You know, there was more technical. They tell you why they're getting laminitis now. Pituitary. They got more experiment. They spent a lot more money on horses now than years ago.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, years ago they didn't know nothing.
And it's technology. Years ago, very few horses got X-rays.
Yeah.
Now they're getting X-rays all the time, and they're even starting to become MRIs.
And the X-rays that they have today, years ago they would take an X-ray, and you didn't know what an X-ray was. It was in black and white, and they had to send it out. You didn't get the X-ray. Right now, they'll have you. I have vets work. I work with vets. They'll cut the foot. They'll take an X-ray, cut a little bit more, and you can actually, you know, see what you're doing.
Progression. Yes.
It's not yet.
I can't see how that's negative. I mean,
that's a good thing. Yeah, there's a lot of good things, and the X-rays you see them right away. Years ago, you had to wait.
But doesn't that take away intuition?
But yeah, and here's the thing, like acrylic, right? Here's an example. We didn't have, right? You guys didn't have acrylic back.
No.
So
Shameless Brady came to Long Island and did Harry DeLay's Dutch Crown horse, lost half his foot. You know what he used? Bondo.
Really?
Yeah,
Bondo.
car. Yeah, that was
Shame.
from the
That
racetrack.
was 50 years ago almost.
Johnny Santoro.
You had a nail. You had a no. So are we losing that? Like, oh, geez.
There's a lot of pluses.
Well, I got the acrylic in the car. I can,
Yeah.
or glue the shoes on.
Yeah,
now.
it didn't have that.
I think I worked with a guy named Bobby Mack back in the 60s. We glued on shoes on a pony back in the 60s. The shoe stayed on for 2 weeks. He had to be the first. And I've still got one of the shoes up there. We shaped out of plastic shoes. And he made the mold, and we were gluing shoes on back then in the 60s when it was unheard of. But I think there's a lot of pluses today. There are a lot of negatives. They wash the horse instead of brushing them. The horse stands in the water.
We went over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, but there's a lot of good things today.
Also, we don't really understand how genetics is involved. Are we making it better for the horse? Are we making it worse? We have different breeds now than we did years ago. We didn't have as many warm bloods, and now warm bloods dominate the show circuit.
I will take a warm blood's foot over a thoroughbred foot every day, twice a day, because the thoroughbred has thin walls, thin soles, and there's very little room for error for the nails. You got to use 3.5 nails or small nails, and they're built to run. They're not. Today, you get a racehorse that they make into a riding horse. They got them out in a 15-acre field with steel shoes on them, with 5 city head nails in them, and the horse should have a 3.5 nail. And it's a lot harder.
Have their
Huh?
issues too. The warm bloods have
Yeah,
issues.
but for the most part,
Shelly,
that's all we did. That's all we did. Harry DeLaird, he had all of them except for Snowman. Snowman wasn't. I worked on Snowman. You ever hear of Snowman? I've actually worked on Snowman, and he was a big flea-bitten gray horse, wore a number 3 shoe. He had, he compared to them little thoroughbreds, they'd lose shoes and you had nothing. But I don't know if the feet are any better quality than they are now. What do you think? I don't know.
Well, my experience is I used to shoe at Hollywood Park Racetrack and thoroughbreds in California. And my take is that we start shoeing them so early. And because of that, we've made such a small foot. I've also worked on breeding farms and trimming up brood mares years after they've had shoes on. And they've had these big old feet with big walls. So I think that's because they're shot from such an early age, and we don't allow the foot to expand and to grow. That's my experience.
I've done thoroughbred farms. I've had as many as 3, 4, 5 a week, big farms, and do 30 or 40 babies, trim babies. I think what happens, they run them young, they put shoes on, and they crush the tubular structure in the heel. That's why you have a lot of thoroughbreds that are really low in the heels. And what do you call it? Brood mares. I've done brood mares. I've done 50 brood mare trims in one day, and babies, after they're laid up and stuff, yeah, their feet spread out and stuff like that. But the foot that got hurt or the leg that got a bad tendon, that foot will be contracted from lack of use.